Hello, hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel and today I'm doing a different type of video. We're gonna do a very in-depth tutorial on an eye look that I got a couple of questions about. It is really the formula of shadow placement that I use anytime I want to do a smoky eye, and I think the specific look that people were requesting, it's really evident because the shadows are very contrasting. So I'm gonna scoot in as close as I possibly can to show you how I do this. So don't at me if my blending's not on point, and also let me know if you enjoy this video down below. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Okay, I'm gonna try to get through this as least choppy video-wise as I can and show you everything that I'm doing. As you can probably hear, my allergies are really on one today. So I've got a ton of beverages. Again, we're gonna try to get through this in as one take flow as possible. But today I'm gonna be using the Anastasia Nouveau palette and we'll walk through the colors. But the takeaway from this more so is where you place your shadows and what level of depth those shadows have and how they play with each other, because this is the formula of placement that I go to anytime I want a smoky eye. I'm going to talk you through that. We're going to talk through my eye shape and why I'm doing what I do, but I also want to add in here that this kind of formula of placement is going to work for most eye shapes. Where I think it might differ, I will try to point out as I go, but this is the kind of go-to eye look shape that I do if I'm doing someone's makeup for a wedding. It's just kind of that classic smoky beauty makeup eye. We're not talking fox eye. We're not talking anything trendy. This is just kind of like, it's been around for a long time. I think I first learned this placement in the Kevyn Aucoin makeup book. I'll pop a picture up on the screen. Back before YouTube was really poppin', we had books, you know, so I'll link that, and let's go ahead and dive right in to the brushes that you'll need for this. Okay, so first up, you're going to need a flat shader brush. A really typical eyeshadow brush. It is flat. It can be a little bit thicker like mine is. This is a MAC. You know what? The whole name has worn off of this. This is like 15 years old. I think it's a 219. I'll pop it on the screen. But just a flat shader brush. This is just going to lay down the first shadows that you put on. Then you need some type of workhorse blending brush. Now, my favorite is the MAC 217, the old one that is goat hair. I'm testing out a Rephr number. This is 27. Also, the number 1 is supposed to be close to that. And then this is a Jaclyn Hill Morphe and JH34. Just something that has a bit of fluff to it. If you want pointier, go with something closer to the 217. But anything that's going to like really buff out edges. And then you're going to need pencil brushes. I like to have 2 on hand. There's one that's a little bit larger of a size, one that's smaller. These are both from Rephr, the 03, the smaller one, and the 26, the larger one. The dual-ended Beauty Pie brush would suffice. I'm just testing out the Rephr brushes. So realistically, you need 3 types of brushes. You don't need multiples. Sometimes it's nice to have multiples if you're switching colors. You can also get a color switch, all that good stuff. But let's go ahead and dive in. To start off the look, I'm going to lay down this bone shade, this beige shade Paloma, and I'm going to use my flat shader brush, and I'm just going to lay that all over the lid. Now, I don't use an eye primer every time, and I told you I would scoot close, so let's do that. I use my concealer as an eye primer, so I don't always need this step. Some will say that laying down a 1 shade powder is going to help the powders blend. I don't really find a massive difference. I just like to do it because it helps fully conceal all of the veins on my eyes all the way up to my brow bone and just lays a cohesive base, but my concealer kind of already did that. So to be honest, sometimes I just like to do it. I also like to do it in this inner corner here because my eye shape, I have a very large round eye. Actually, it's wider than it is tall, but I have very tall eyelids. My eyes are probably the first feature that you're going to see on my face because they are large. They are also deep set, which means it goes deep into the socket here, which creates this like line crease that's very visible. And then I also have a slight hood on the outer edge of my eye where my brow bone is kind of covering my eyelid just a little bit, but I still have some eyelid space that's visible. And what I like to do is brighten and keep bright this inner corner because of the shadows that are coming from all the areas of my nose and my brow bone. So I like to bring that forward. And then I also like to create my own crease a little bit higher up here on the brow bone to kind of push some of this hood back. And then I also like to really have a dramatic lash line and kind of flick it out at the end to kind of lift up my eyes. Even though they're kind of straight across, I like to lift them up a little bit. And that is what we're going to do today. So after I have covered my eyelid to brow bone with that one color, I'm going to go in first with the lightest shade because it's easier for me to see kind of what I'm doing and to preserve that lightness here. So I'm going to go into the shade Isle, which any kind of gold shade will do. This is a very peachy gold, and I've really liked this on the eyelid. And this is also a look that I did a lot in college. So I'm going to go all over the lid. I'm not going to go all the way into the inner corner. I'm going to save that for the very end, but I'm going to go all over the lid with this shade. Like that. And then I'll do the other side. I'm closer, but I was reading comments, not even on just my own video, and people were like, I missed the really zoomed in eye. I don't think I can commit to that because I would be way too close to the mic, and I'm nervous that I'm already too close to the mic. But I guess I could. I think I'm going to keep it back here. If you want even closer, let me know down below. We can work something out. Okay, next I'm going to grab that fluffy crease brush, and this is where we're going to start to build a new crease instead of staying down here where this line is that you see. We're going to stay above because when my eye is open and looking straight at you, which is how I would be looking at you normally, you'll see that if I lift up and put color here, it's going to disappear. So I like to go a little bit above that. We'll go from kind of that disappearing land all the way up because I do have some real estate to play with here. And for that, I'm going to go into the shade Fleur, which is like this mid-tone kind of peachy pink. Any shade that is not any shade that is not much darker than your skin tone is going to work here. And I'm going to start at my actual crease, and I'm going to blend all the way up to almost my eyebrow there. Making sure that I'm not missing this section because from the angle that my eye ends here, I want to make sure all of this is covered just to be cohesive. So something like that, just to get the color started. I'm going to build it up just a little bit more. And this is going to help push the brow bone back. And it's also going to help our colors blend into each other a little easier than if we just went in with something dark. And then just doing this on the other side. And I like to use windshield wiping motions. If your formula doesn't lend itself to that, try tapping like this. Once you get it tapped out to a certain place, you should be able to use windshield wiping motions. And then that's where we're at so far. I'm actually going to add just a touch more to this side. Okay. Now here is where we're going to start to get Smokey. I'm going to use the smallest pencil brush that I have. Now, depending on the size of your eye, if you have a hood, if you're deep set, you might find it easier and faster to go in with something larger. Sometimes I like to use the larger one, but I've really been loving this kind of smaller pencil brush. It gives me more control when I'm placing the color down, and I'm going to go into the darkest shade in this palette, which is Muse, and it is a very dark brown with some shimmer. And I like to start this by looking straight forward into my mirror so that I'm not over exaggerating the line that I want by raising my eyelids. I want to make sure I'm relaxed. And I'm going to start in the middle of my eye, and I'm going to start placing almost an eyeliner line down like that. And then whatever's left over on my brush, I'll slowly bring it into the inner part of my eye, but not going all the way in. We just want it to be kind of a really nice gradient line that starts and comes out, so like that. I'll go back in, grab a little bit more, and this is where we're going to start building our shape. So again, with your eyes relaxed, looking at your mirror, you want to create a line here, almost like we're doing a liquid liner. But this you don't have to be precise with. So I've created my shape. What I'm going to do now is, with whatever's left on the brush, connect that shape in to the line that we drew and kind of match those up. And now that you have that shape, feel free to kind of lift your eyebrows to really blend. And then no more product on the brush. I'm still going to keep this pencil brush, and I'm going to slightly flick in where that line ends, all the way down, and you'll see that that's where we get kind of that gradient from light to dark. And from here, I like to take breaks, look at my mirror, and then I'll go back in if I want to intensify the darkness at the lash line. Go in and do that. Continue to flick. And then when I get the shape that I want, like this, and you can see that we're starting to lift and elongate my eye. Instead of stopping the shadow here, we've brought it out to here, which is almost, if you would continue the line of my brow in this eyeliner, that's kind of where I would end. You can go further than that, but I'm going to go back into that original fluffy brush that we did our crease with, and I'm going to tap that outer V that we created just to kind of help blend that, and then blend it along the crease here with windshield wiping motions. And then sometimes I like to tap over that gradient. And that's where we're getting that eye from. And from here, really, it's just going in and playing with how much depth that you want here. The video that I was wearing this, where people were asking for a tutorial, I went pretty deep with this line. And I will say, when you're doing that and these colors are that different, it's just going to take a lot of building up, tapping it out, blending, checking in your mirror. And I'm pretty happy with that so far. I might build just a touch more right here. And I promise, as you practice this shape, it's going to get super, super easy and super fast, but it's going to take some practice to understand what shape you like the best on your own eye. And then I'm actually going to go back into that Fleur shade just to make sure that we didn't lose that color and that gradient in the crease. And don't be afraid to like really bring this up on the lid or the eyebrow, especially if you're like me and you have the real estate there to play with. So this is what the eye looks like. Now I'm going to do the other side, and then we will come back and I'll show you when I put my mascara on the difference that it makes. But also, if you're not quite happy with it with the mascara on, there are some tricks you can do. And actually, I'm going to take that shader brush and let's just build up a little bit more shimmer here. So being careful to avoid kind of where we built that line up, I'm just tapping a little bit extra on there. All right, I'm gonna go do the other side, and then we will be back with mascara. Okay, I put my mascara on, which was the Beauty Pie Uber Volume, and my lip gloss is the new Live Tinted in the shade Proud. I absolutely love this. And then my blush is actually from the Trixie blush palette, which I can't wait to share even more new makeup with you. I wanted this. I thought I put it in my cart, and then Erica was like, I got it. It's gorgeous, and I can fully attest to that. I have the middle shade on my cheeks. Love it. Anyway, from an eyeshadow standpoint, once I get my full face on, I like to kind of take a step back, look in the mirror. At this point, if I wanted to add more depth and definition, I would just go back into that deep shade with my pencil brush, and you can kind of get underneath or behind your lashes, kind of build that up. If you want to build a bottom, underneath your eye with some shadow, you can do that. I don't really like to, but sometimes I'll connect just this outer portion. I'm just not typically like a big under the eye eyeshadow person. I'm gonna match them now though. I committed. And if you're doing this, what you want to be sure of is that it's lining up with that shadow. You don't want mismatched lines here, but I'm just going to blend that out a little bit with a larger brush. I don't like to go all the way underneath my eye because it closes off my eye. A trick if you want shadow underneath the eye, but it does close off the eye for you, is to get that brightening pencil. A lot of brands make them. But I hope this was helpful. You can achieve this look with 3 shadows, a crease shade, a lid shade, and that deep smoky shade. I added a 4th by doing kind of coverage underneath the whole thing. And what I'm going to do now, which I really like to do with all my eye looks, is to take an inner corner highlight. It could be a highlighter like this one from Beauty Pie. And I'm going to grab a brush. You can clean off your flat shader and do this. You can clean off your pencil brush and do this, or grab a new pencil brush. And I'm just going to hit right in the inner corner, and I like to bring mine up just to keep that brightness and kind of blend it onto that first third of the eyelid. And then you have this true gradient of very light all the way to smoky. I think it's blended really well. If you go and you see that you need to blend a little bit more, go and grab your blending brush and just hit the outer edge, the dark colors. What are my words? And just play around. But again, you could do this with 3 shadows, 4, 5, however many you kind of want to mix to get that look. Just make sure that, 1, you're taking breaks when you're doing up close eyeshadow work, and you're taking a step back to see what it looks like if you're in a relaxed conversation, because you can do all the work in the world with your eyelid raised like this, but when you're talking to someone and your face is relaxed, all that work's going to go away, essentially. So make sure you're taking breaks and taking a step back from the mirror to look to see what actually is going to be seen. And remember, perfection does not exist. No one's going to come up to you and say, your eyeshadow isn't perfectly blended. If they do, you know, bye-bye. You know, life's too short. It's going to take practice to get blending right. I hope that this was helpful. If you enjoy more in-depth tutorials like this, please let me know. This is fun for me to film. It's almost a different way of being able to film when I'm already getting ready. And yeah, let me know what other looks you would like to see. Know that if I'm doing a smoky eye, it's going to be some combination of this, just with different colors. And yeah, I hope that you're having a fabulous day. Don't forget, there are forms in the description box down below where you can vote on the next video, or let me know the type of video that you would like to see. I am on a filming round robin today, so next is going to be my August favorites that's late, and then I think we're going to get into some fashion videos, hopefully today or tomorrow, and I'm very excited for that. So yeah, plenty more to come. I'm excited to knock through these requested videos, and I hope that you're having an amazing start to your week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.